Welcome to A Year in the Bible with Daily Grace. The Bible tells one big story of redemption, and we want to spend 5 minutes every day journeying through the Bible from start to finish and exploring how all of it points to Jesus. Hey everyone, welcome back to A Year in the Bible with Daily Grace. My name is Aubrey Coleman, one of the hosts for the podcast, and today we are looking at the book of 1 Kings and its opening chapters. 1 Kings follows up the end of 2 Samuel, describing the days of King David and the conspiracy circling around about who would succeed him. David was old, maybe 70 years old at this time, and couldn't remain king much longer. His family had been riddled with murder, treachery, and adultery. 2 of David's oldest sons, Amnon and Absalom, were dead, and we can assume that his older son was either dead or unfit to rule, because it's the fourth son, Adonijah, who steps up and campaigns to take the throne. Without the affirmation of his father David or the exaltation of kingship by God, he hosted a banquet and made elaborate sacrifices to appear as the best choice for a king. But David remembered God's oath, which was that Solomon was to be king after him. So Solomon is anointed and succeeds David as king of Israel. Before David died, after serving Israel as their king for 40 years, he gave a final charge to Solomon. He instructed him to remain strong and courageous, to enact justice, and to ultimately remain faithful to the Lord. However, Solomon does not begin his reign in this way. Instead, he begins with conspiracy and murder. But Solomon redeemed himself when the Lord appeared to him in a dream. God said, "Ask, what shall I give you?" Solomon could have requested truly anything, but first he acknowledged God's faithfulness and asked for God to grant him an understanding heart and great discernment to govern his people. God was really pleased with that request, so he granted him understanding, wisdom, and discernment to rightly bring justice to the people of Israel. And the people of Israel admired Solomon and saw his wisdom and knew that the Lord had shown him favor. Throughout the family line of David, even filled with sin, we see continued evidence of God's grace and faithfulness. God promised to bring a true king through the line of David, and he would accomplish that no matter what. Even through Adonijah's attempt to take the throne, God exalted Solomon as king. As we will continue to see throughout this book, Solomon was a wise and beloved king, but he was not a perfect king. Instead, God was pointing his people beyond the reign of Solomon. He was preparing the way to display his steadfast love through the fulfillment of his promise of a perfect king, Jesus Christ, who would come and embody perfect wisdom and justice and peace through his life, death, and resurrection. Because of Christ, our hope does not lie in kings, rulers, presidents, or those in positions of power and leadership. We don't have to be crushed by leaders who abuse their power and fail their people. Even the most admirable, we aren't left to put our hope in their humanity. Because of Christ, we can place our hope in a perfect king, and we can trust in him. Thanks so much for joining us today. Be sure to follow along on our Instagram pages at Daily Grace Podcast and at The Daily Grace Co. And check out our website, www.thedailygraceco.com, for all kinds of resources to help you to dive deeper into God's Word. On the website, you can find our Story of Redemption study to accompany this podcast, as well as Story of Redemption journals that have dedicated journaling space to every chapter of the Bible. You can always find resources to accompany the podcast at dailygracepodcast.com. If you enjoyed today's episode and are excited to join us again tomorrow, we would love for you to take a moment to leave a rating or review on iTunes to help more people find out about our show. Thank you so much, and we look forward to chatting again with you tomorrow.